Hi, I'm Pam, and this is my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of February. Hey everyone! I hope everyone is doing well. February was kind of a bummer of a month. I don't know what it was. I felt very unproductive and unmotivated. Just didn't really want to do much all February. Do have a couple updates though. There was a new episode of Point and Drink Adventure. As usual, Michelle and I talked about all the movies and the games that we were playing. There was a bit of a longer gap between the last episode and the next episode because Michelle's going to be here this weekend so that we can record an in-person episode, which are always my favorite episodes. It's great when we can actually be in the same room and be chatting and drinking together. So that's something to look forward to for, a week or two from now. I also just wanted to shout out again that I have a Steam curator page. I mentioned it in the last update video, but just in case anyone missed that, if you just look up on Steam or on Google, Cannot Be Tamed Steam Curator, you can find my page where I have a whole bunch of recommendations for indie games to look out for, a lot of Metroidvanias, a lot of puzzle games, co-op games, and then my own special little category of stressy time and resource management games that I really like. I've been adding more games to it over the past month, so if it's been a while since you looked at it, or if you haven't seen it at all, there's a lot of cool games to check out on there. And I actually have a pickup to show off this month, which is pretty rare nowadays. You might know that one of my favorite Metroidvanias is Astalon Tears of the Earth by Labswork. So I have a video on it if you haven't seen it before, and I've talked about it fairly frequently. And last month, Matt Cap, who heads up Labsworks, reached out and asked if I would like a physical copy. And I said, sure I do. So I got Astalon for the Nintendo Switch. This is like a special collector's edition, which I was particularly excited for. So we've got the actual game itself. There is the soundtrack to the game. It's got a very cool chiptune soundtrack on CD. There is a sort of little magnetic thing. So we've got your background and then little magnets for each of the characters, so you can put them on as you like them, which is very cute. And really the thing that I was most excited for in this set is the art and creation book, which just has a bunch of sketches and designs of the characters, as well as a bit of the story about how Astalon was made and how it was designed. There are interviews with the devs and things. So very excited for this. Thank you so much, Matt, for sending this along. Always happy to have my favorite games in physical editions, even if I don't buy a lot of physical editions myself anymore. Now onto the games that I played in February. There was a handful of games, as well as a bunch of games that I decided to retire, but just starting in order. The first game I finished is Duck Detective: The Ghost of Glamping. I played this on Xbox. It is by Happy Broccoli Games, and it came out in 2025. This is a very cute little detective puzzle game. You play a duck detective, as you could probably guess. The art style makes it look like all the characters are like little paper dolls sort of bouncing around the screen. You go to a glamping site, which is glamorous camping, and you have to solve some mysteries that are happening there, meeting interesting and funny characters. This game basically works like, not Oberdin, Curse of the Golden Idol. It's one of those. So you find clues. Those clues will fill in certain words in your clue book, and then you have to solve a mystery by basically filling in the blanks with characters or items or actions in order to solve a bunch of mini mysteries on the way to solving the greater mystery. And I thought this was pretty cute, just aesthetically very adorable. The writing was fairly funny. The puzzles were definitely more on the simple side than something like Curse of the Golden Idol. It was just a pretty quick, maybe 3-ish hour game, and I had fun with the time I spent with it. The next game I finished is Cairn, which I played on PC. This is by the Game Bakers, and it just came out this year. If you missed it, I do have an entire video dedicated to my thoughts on Cairn, specifically my thoughts as someone who enjoys rock climbing myself, although I don't climb outdoors, and I've never climbed a mountain. But I really liked Cairn. It's, while there were some mechanical things that kind of got on my nerves, just sort of like as a vibe, it was really nice. I loved the mountain and exploring it and just finding all the little secrets and things to find. The exploration was definitely my favorite part of the game. The art, being able to just like sit on a place and look over a beautiful vista. Yeah, Cairn is really good if you like that sort of exploratory game or a very kind of mechanically complex, semi-realistic type game. I definitely do recommend it. I really like the Game Bakers. Their game Haven was one of my favorites. It was on my top 10 of whatever year that came out. But yeah, watch my video on Cairn if you want my full thoughts on that. The most recent game I finished on Twitch on Adventure Sundays is called The Black Mirror, and this is on PC. It is by Future Games, and it originally came out in 2003. It is a sort of 3D styled, but with rendered backgrounds, point-and-click adventure game. You play, I think your name is Samuel, and you're just a dick. Everyone in this game is kind of a dick, but Samuel's like just a very unpleasant person. He has this rich family, and the patriarch of the family has recently fallen to his death from a tower window, and Samuel goes to the manor to try to find out what happened, finds a whole bunch of weird family history stuff that he needs to figure out in order to sort of solve the mystery of exactly what's going on here. And there were some very interesting puzzles in this game. There was also a couple fairly annoying puzzles in the game. I enjoyed it. It was kind of fun to riff on. Like, it's one of those games where everyone just talks entirely too much and just needs an editor. You know, your character doesn't need to say, I need to ask you a question to, you know, start every conversation, or I think I will go now to end every conversation. And yeah, again, with just Samuel being a completely unpleasant person who's just mean to everyone who works for his family. It was fine. I enjoyed playing it enough. It was something that was cool to play on stream, even though I had a number of criticisms as I played it. The next game I played is Ambrosia Sky Part 1, which is out on PC. It is by Soft Drains, and it came out in 2025. And this is like a chill, meditative game about a lot about death, honestly. You play a character in a system who's been taken over by this weird pathogen, probably fungal, and you're exploring, taking samples, seeing the people who have died, and sort of reflecting on what happened to them, as well as on your own past. You go through a series of levels where you're kind of doing Power Wash Simulator. You've got a spray gun that clears out the contaminants. You can defeat sort of like electrical things that are in your way and can harm you. And you're going through these areas, finding out how to get through by either using your cleaning device or connecting things, turning on power, figuring out how to get doors open. And I enjoyed this. It was, like I said, kind of chill and meditative. The game itself was fairly low stakes, although there were a couple levels where it did put a little bit of pressure on you. But just going through these worlds, sort of reflecting on what was happening around you and what happened to your character in the past, and I enjoyed it a lot. And the latest game from Lab's work is called LOVISH. I played this on Xbox. It just came out last month. I did get a key for free. This is what they've been working on in between working on their next larger Metroidvania. So LOVISH is not a Metroidvania, but it is a very cute 8-bit styled sort of single screen puzzle platformer. So you have an overworld that looks like something like Mario 3, where you're going from level to level, and in each level you basically have to get from the start to the door at the end, and in the way might be spikes, there might be monsters, there's a secret crown in every level that you can collect, there's coins that you can collect, and then between every level you do, there's a sort of randomized little very short cutscene, and the cutscene can be anything from a little challenge like avoid the bats coming at you, or oh, you found a treasure chest, there's a coin in it, or coming across a character in the dungeon that you're in. And it's really, really funny. Like, all of these little clips are very cute and often hilarious. Even the very beginning cinematic intro of the game, you are Solomon and you are in love with Princess Tsuna, and you're gonna rescue her from this castle with your friends, but what if she falls in love with one of your friends instead? So you leave them all behind. And Solomon's just kind of a dick like that, and you can see that in the little interactions you have as you're going through the dungeon. It's a fairly short game. I think there's a total of 50 levels, and they're all pretty quick, although a number of them took me more than one shot to get through. It's also one-hit kills as you're going, so if you die, you have a chance to try again. But what I really like is that more and more keeps being revealed. As you go, you can get random items, you can open shops, you can buy new items, which reveals, oh, there's not just one secret crown in every level, there are multiple, so you can look for more things. And oh, there's these weird portals, and there's these dark moons, and there's these secret chests. So as you go, there's sort of always more and more to find, more and more things to open up. So you can play definitely more than, like, I think to finish it the first time, it only took me like 3 or 4 hours to beat the first boss. But then I went back and did a whole bunch of the levels again to just get those extra crowns, beat the time trials, see all the random events that were happening. Overall, I just found this was a very adorable game. It's a lot of fun. It's one that you can very easily just pick up and play for 10 minutes and put down again. So yeah, I definitely recommend LOVISH if you are into that kind of single screen puzzle platformer as well. Also, for some reason, I don't remember what made me want to do this, but I decided I need to play Dark Souls 3 again. So I spent a lot of time last month playing through Dark Souls 3. It is my favorite of the Dark Souls games. And as much as I feel like I should try something new when I come to a game, I feel like I make the same build over and over again. But yeah, played through Dark Souls 3, learned that at least to a certain point, I did kind of get good. Like, I was killing most of the bosses in 2-3 attempts, a couple one-shots in there, which I was pretty proud of. I never played the DLC the first time I beat Dark Souls, so I did give that a try. I was in the painted world of Arandil, or whatever it's called, and I got to the boss there, and she killed me 3 times, and I was like, what? 3 deaths on a boss? This is too much, and then I quit. But I might go back and try to fight her again. Also, the fucking Nameless King. I still cannot beat the Nameless King. I hate that boss. But everything else is fantastic. I love the world of Dark Souls 3. I love so many of the bosses. It's just got such a nice feeling of just finding all the things, all those weird cryptic NPCs to do. Oh, I did get a different ending this time too. I usurped the flame, which was, good for me. Yeah, Dark Souls 3, had a lot of fun with that. Might still go back for more DLC at some point. And the last game that I finished is Reanimal, which is another brand new game. It is by Tarsier Studios, and I played this on Xbox. This is from the creators of the Little Nightmares games, which are games I'm very kind of hot and cold on. But what I liked about Reanimal, and the reason I picked it up, was that you can play it couch co-op. So Dylan and I played through this together. You play as 2 strange little kids with masks on, going through a very surreal environment. Things like schools and streets and war zones. The story is fairly obtuse in terms of what's actually happening. It's really not until the end of the game that I was like, oh, this is what this game is about. Overall, I had fun playing it co-op. I don't think I would have played it by myself. Like, I don't think it was interesting enough that I would have played it by myself, and I'm also not a big cinematic puzzle platformer person, but playing it with Dylan on the couch was fun. I do think the atmosphere and the visuals and things are the strongest point of the game. In terms of puzzles and things, there wasn't that much to do. Like, it was a fairly frictionless experience in terms of like knowing what to do next. The only things where there was some friction was kind of irritating in that there are some sort of stealthy sections or little action sections, and I felt like they were a little bit trial and error, because sometimes like you would be running and you would be running towards the camera, and all of a sudden there'd be a wall in front of you, and you wouldn't have known that there was a wall here unless you tried it again, so you'd have to just do it again with that knowledge in mind. Atmosphere was definitely the best thing about this. I think playing it co-op was worth it. Wouldn't have been satisfied if I had gotten this and played it on my own though. I also decided to retire a number of games this month. Just had so many things on the go. Some things had to just get off the plate. Blacktail is a game that I just started this month. It's on Xbox. It is by the developers The Parasite, and it came out in 2022. And this is a first-person sort of action-adventure game based on Slavic myth. You are Baba Yaga, and you're looking for your missing sister, but you're like Baba Yaga as a girl before she, becomes very mythological. And you're going through a kind of fairy tale world with a bow and arrow, fighting monsters, finding things, crafting. You're being led along by a voice who's trying to, help you reach your destiny. And I thought that there were some really cute aspects of it, like some of the interactions you have, like with an evil ant queen, were very funny. The story was okay, though I found it, tonally very strange. Your character is voice acted by the voice actress from What Remains of Edith Finch, which was great. And then the voice in your head is Meg from Hades, who's great, but it was like distracting because she has like a very sexy voice, and going through as a young girl being led by this like super sassy, sexy voice was just, a little bit dissonant for me. It was kind of strange. There was also a morality system in the game that was a little obtuse in terms of like, it was hard to tell what would make you good versus evil. Even at the very beginning of the game, it asks you to want to be good or evil. And I picked evil, and I don't think that made any like impact on my game at all. I also, once I got to a certain point, I found that bow and arrow combat just got a little bit tedious, and I feel like I played this game almost up to the end and then just decided I didn't want to do it anymore. So Blacktail was, it wasn't a bad game, it just wasn't enough to make me want to finish it. I also, in the past month, went back to a game that I had previously put down, which is Celeste. Celeste is by Extremely OK Games. It came out in 2018. I can't believe it's almost 10 years old. I played this on Xbox, and the first time I played through a few levels and just kind of bounced off it. And this time I played through the first 3 worlds, or I'm in the 3rd world, and it's fine. It just once I put it down and never once thought, I want to play that again. I think maybe that kind of like single screen precision platformer just isn't really my thing, maybe? Like, the music's cool, the story's fine, but yeah, something about it just doesn't make me want to play it. I don't know what it is. But then I played another game that's very similar, which kind of hammered home, maybe this just isn't the genre for me. This is the one that just came out last month. It's called Love Eternal. I played it on Xbox, and it's by Brilka, possibly. And Love Eternal is another similar game to Celeste. It's a single screen precision platformer. I watched the trailer for this, and the trailer is really cool. It's got some really cool art. It's got really great vibes. So I watched the trailer, and then I bought the game, and I launched the game, and I was like, oh, this doesn't look anything like the trailer. Like, not even the intro. It's just like, here you go, here's the screen, your character's tiny, everything's like really tiny, it's not particularly detailed. And I was like, oh, well, that's strange. And then I got to the actual gameplay, and the platforming started good. It felt nice and crunchy, but the main mechanic in this seems to be flipping gravity around. So you like jump, and there's spikes, and then you flip gravity, and you need to sort of like time your jumps so you don't hit the 7 million spikes on screen. And also I just found I didn't like that mechanic. I didn't like the floating and timing and landing, so I gave up on that one too. I think maybe just not the genre for me. And the last game that got retired is called Wizard of Legend. Dylan and I played this on Xbox. It's by Contingent 99, and it came out in 2018. This is sort of a top-down roguelite wizard game that you can play couch co-op. So you and your friend each get a wizard, and you can learn all kinds of different spells. So you have like a melee spell, a range spell, usually some like big special use spell with a longer cooldown. And then there's a whole bunch of items and equipment that can boost you in different ways. So you're opening up all these things, and you're finding good builds for fighting these monsters. And there's various levels. So there's like a nature level and a fire level and an ice level. So you go through all of these and fight a boss at the end, and then go on to the next one. And Dylan and I actually put in a lot of time into this. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we spent 20-ish hours on this. And it's very difficult. Like, it took us a while before we could even get like a couple levels into the game. And when we last played it, we did make it to the final boss. I think we tried the final boss twice, and we failed both times. And then we just kind of played other things instead. So I would still really like to get the beat on this game because I think it's pretty fun. It just got to the point where it was like, we've spent a lot of time on this and there are other things to play. So yeah, retiring with Wizard of Legend for now. Maybe go back to it at some time, or maybe try the sequel, which also looks pretty good. All right, that is it for my updates from February. Leave me a comment, let me know what you've been playing, any games you're looking forward to, did you get any cool pickups? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more, check out one of my other videos here. I have a Patreon, or you can become a channel member if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.